Hello, AP Euro family. So today, quick little tutorial video by request. Some people wanted me to go over short answer questions again, which is totally cool. So I thought what would work today is I'm going to go over some of the guidelines as a refresher, and then I'm going to pretend to be a student, right? I'm going to dive in and see if I can make this happen. So maybe it'll be cool. Maybe it's going to be a waste. Let's find out together. So when we hear short answer, right, in your mind, I would really encourage you to think of 13, right? 13 is the magic number here because that's about the total period of time you're going to have for a short answer. So I always think of it as 3 minutes to read and plan, 10 minutes to write. Although, truthfully, if you're a very fast writer, you might want to take 5 minutes to plan and then 8 minutes to write. It's totally up to you. You get that 13-minute chunk of time. Now, remember, a short answer is always going to be worth 3 points. And so that's why they usually have 3 questions, although sometimes they have 2 questions and one of them is just worth 2 points instead of one. They're always worth 3 points. The average score is usually about a 1 out of 3. So perfection isn't necessary. It's awesome. But if you look at one question in the bundle, you go, ooh, that's a real stinker. Don't freak out about it. Then really commit to getting 2 points on the two that you really like. And maybe that third one, I'm not saying you don't answer it, but that's kind of the leftovers. That's the scraps from the table. If you get there, you do. If not, you throw something kind of crap down. You hedge your bets that you can rock 2 points out of the three. That's probably still going to put you at or above the average score. Remember, some short answer questions have a stimuli, some do not. I picked one for this example that does have a stimuli, and so I've got to do a little bit of reading before I start planning. Now, they will not give you like an actual organizer when you do this the real time, right? There will be nothing there. You'll have room if we actually do this on paper. You'll have room to write. If we do it online, I'm assuming that you'll just have a notebook with you, because what they did last year is you hand wrote it, took a picture, and uploaded it. Or if you typed it, then I think that maybe you're just going from the brain. I'm a big proponent of at least writing down ideas before you dive in. And so for me, this is going to be a little unfair. Time-wise, that's going to eat up more time than it will on the actual test, because doing the video format and also trying to keep it digital. And then remember, you get 1 page total for all 3 of your points. So it's really about a paragraph. So you got to think about a third of a page, a third of a page, and a third of a page, because it all has to fit into 1 page. Okay, so those are the confines of the short answer. Now, last thing I'll say before I actually try doing this, I'm always thinking, I have a huge forehead. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I'm apologizing. But T, right? In my mind, I'm thinking T when I'm writing these responses. And so I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to look and just read. But right away, when I go into planning mode, I'm going into T. I'm thinking about, all right, what's my answer? How am I going to back that up? And who's going to care? How am I going to prove that I'm right? That's what's going to be running through my head like lightning the entire time. It's slower to talk it out than it would be if I just did this, right? If I just did it, it would happen close to instantaneous. Okay, so those are the guidelines. So let's try this out. It says, the sovereign of the Commonwealth is not subject to civil laws. For having power to make and repeal laws, he may, when he pleases, free himself from being subject to civil laws by repealing those laws that trouble him and making new laws. For he is free, that can be free when he wishes to be free, nor is it possible for any person to be bound to himself, because he that can bind can release, and therefore he that is bound to himself only is not bound. Thomas Hobbes, English philosopher, writer of Leviathan. Note that this is in 1651. So the English Civil War is over. Charles I has already been beheaded. That's running through my mind as I read this. Like, all right, I know the context. English Civil War had just happened. Charles is dead. Okay, now here's my questions. Describe one historical situation in England that influenced the ideas expressed by Hobbes in the passage. English Civil War, no doubt. I mean, that's an easy one. Describe one broader historical development in Europe in the 17th century that influenced the ideas expressed by Hobbes. Absolutism. C, analyze the extent to which these ideas were supported by subsequent events in 17th century England. Um, a mix, because the other Stuart kings, I guess tried to be kind of absolutist. I think of some of the behavior of like James the Second, being very pro-Catholic and starting to put Catholics into power. I mean, he kind of did whatever the hell he wanted, truthfully. Um, but Glorious Revolution, I think, takes a massive steamy, doo-doo pile on that. So I'm going to say a limited extent, because mainly Parliament is going to win. Okay, I'm going to stop right there for a second, and let's see, how long did I just take to explain that point. Welcome back. For this next segment, I am now going to externally show you what's going on inside my brain at a very quick speed. So, truthfully, when I write a short answer response, I don't actually write down big planning blocks because you don't have time. I would do it for a DBQ essay. But for the short answer, I think it's all going on inside my brain to save time. But in order to show you what I'm thinking, I'm going to record it. So this part is a little unnatural because it's going to take some time. But realistically, in my head, I'd only take a minute to do this. Okay, so here we go. A, describe the historical situation in England. As I said before, right away, I know English Civil War. And so the situation I know inside my head is the English Civil War. Okay, so my evidence. All right, so describe one historical situation that influenced his decision. I think I would talk about Charles needing the power to govern, not being responsible to Parliament. And so I'm thinking about, when he was thinking about trying to raise taxes, war, foreign diplomacy, those kind of things, right? He should have been free to do what he wanted. And maybe the conflict arises because Parliament not being willing to allow that, right? Parliament tried to, and I know this because of his trial, Parliament claims at trial of Charles I that he was under the law and broke it. In essence, they said he was at war with his own nation, with himself. Okay, and why is that important? Does he have total power to rule? Or does Parliament make the rules for him to follow? Okay, so that's my first one. Okay, so topic B. Inside my mind, I'm thinking about what is the broader historical context in Europe at the time, and I would say absolutism. Okay, and my evidence, there's so much evidence here. Louis XIV, one law, one religion, one king was his famous statement. He was the Sun King, no parliament, nobles of the robe. All right, now I'm not going to use all of those, but in my mind, I'm just like, these are all things that I could tie in. And that's only one example. I mean, we could talk about religious war and Renaissance led to powerful central kings. Okay, maybe that's actually partially my analysis. So I'm going to move that over here. I could think of other absolutists. Peter the Great might fit in here. I could think of Frederick William I of Prussia, the Soldier King. Right, and so I have some ideas going through my head. And then lastly, analyze the extent to which these ideas support later events, and I would say mixed or to a limited. And my evidence to that would be that, although James II goes on a power trip And then what I mean by there's like, lots of Catholics in power, and that's kind of breaking the law. Blah blah blah. I mean, my greater evidence is that we have the Glorious Revolution, and that clearly, definitively says that Parliament. And I roll my eyes at this, but like they would believe that Parliament was the people, right? So Parliament has power to make laws, and we also had remember that I jumped way down. English Bill of Rights in 1688, and then there's a whole bunch of laws. The laws, policies that certainly control the king, right? I mean, like that was the point that the king like is now controlled. He can't be Catholic. Must call Parliament. Can't have friends be judges. Right? Dot dot dot. Okay, so there we go. That's all going on inside my brain quickly before we get to this next step. All right, guys, welcome back outside of my thoughts and back into real life. So that took me all of what, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, truthfully, to think out those ideas. It was 90 minutes to read the questions and do a quick brainstorm. So I'm at about 2.5, maybe minutes into this thing. So I've got about 10.5 minutes left to actually write my responses. That gives me about 3.5 minutes, roughly 3:15 per response. So as long as I keep this direct, I should be good. Again, T, right? So I'm thinking a direct answer for my topic, provide a little sprinkle of some evidence to back that up, and then some analysis that kind of, maybe makes my point, clarifies. Now, describe is not a higher order thought, so the analysis here might not be as mandatory. C will require a little bit more for the analytical part. All right, so it's going to be really boring to just watch me type. So I'm going to try to talk and type, but again, that's going to slow me down because I'm not a super strong typer. And so for me, multitasking, small brain stuff. All right, so describe one historical situation in England. The English Civil War had a significant impact on the works of Hobbes. All right, there's my topic set. It's straightforward. Now, my evidence. King Charles the First had attempted to circumvent Parliament in order to raise funds for wars and his government. Tension soon turned to violence. Tension turned to defiance. Parliament believed that they represented the people and the nation and refused to allow Charles to demand money without recognizing power of Parliament. Civil War witnessed parliamentary victory, and as a result, the king was executed for having broken the law of the nation. However, royalists like Hobbes angered because laws had not applied to kings previously. So again, I'll time that out to see how long that took, but there we go. So if I look at it, tons of typos. I was trying to go fast, whatever, but that's my topic sentence, right? If we look at this first point here, the English Civil War had significant there's my answer. My evidence is something in the neighborhood. Whoops, I don't want that. I want you, dirty dog, you. Charles was the king. He attempted to raise funds without parliament. I could go deeper, right? I could talk about ship money if I wanted to. I said ship. We could talk about forced loans or his royalist allies raising money. Put him in defiance. Parliament believed that they had represented the people and they refused to allow him to demand the money. I could even go further and I could talk about the long and the short parliaments, the rump parliament. I mean, you could go further, right? Which I probably would. The Civil War, this should be Civil War, witnessed parliamentary victory, and as a result, the king, blah, blah. I mean, I think that's maybe even still evidence. It's kind of on the cusp. However, royalists like Hobbes would have argued that laws had not applied to the king previously. And so I think maybe I got to tweak that. Had not applied to the king previously. And as the embodiment of the state, it was inappropriate to apply law to the monarch, or whatever, something like that. Okay, so we're done. And that's the first one. Notice T, my topic, my evidence, my analysis. I'm done with the first one. I've certainly got time banked, and I'm ready to hit B and C. But that's going to be your job, not mine. Have fun. Hopefully this helped, guys.